This is Behind the Verdict. I'm John Horford with Mean Myrene Cook and confused Christina.
No, what you
Capron.
mean?
No, I was just saying that because right before this we were talking about the amount of people who commented on one of our recent posts. They got a lot of traction saying that all prosecutors are evil. So that's why Myrene is mean Myrene. If you're watching the video, I'm doing air quotes.
Okay, so people don't become prosecutors to be evil or mean. I became a prosecutor to give people a voice, to help those who need help, to speak for them when they can't speak for themselves. If I were going to be evil, I would be a defense attorney and I would make a hell of a lot more money. Prosecutors don't make the kind of money that people think they do.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Yeah.
So why get into that profession unless you truly care about what you're doing and truly care about your community and making it a safer place?
You're a public servant.
Exactly.
Yes. And if you wanted to, if you're really greedy.
I would be a defense attorney.
Yes.
Who didn't care about the truth. And that was my, soulless existence.
Yeah.
Not all defense attorneys are bad. I don't want to put that out there. There are some that are very good friends of mine and they do their job because that is their job to do, and I respect that. On the other hand, there are a few that give any attorney a bad name, and I think that's what happens. I think sometimes people look at prosecutors and maybe there's one case where there's, they behaved badly or there was something wrong that the prosecutor did, and I think some people want to portray that or paint that as every single prosecutor is bad. You may have one bad apple, but it doesn't mean the whole bushel is bad.
But there's some bad prosecutors out there.
I've never met any.
Really?
I haven't.
So in the state of Michigan?
I haven't met any.
Are these people like blaming in the comment section? Were they blaming prosecutors for wrongful convictions or something? Because isn't that really the responsibility of detectives to follow leads and investigate?
What the majority of people seem to be upset about was Myrene saying that she had beef with the Innocence Project, and they're like, why would you care? Why does it matter that the Innocence Project is trying to, uncover every shred of evidence that could potentially help keep an innocent person out of prison? They're like, wouldn't you welcome the Innocence Project to do as much as they can to help make sure that these innocent people aren't put away for crimes that they did not commit?
You would think that, wouldn't you? However, when you are in trial with a case where the Innocence Project is involved and they throw out every red herring to create reasonable doubt on a case where a baby was severely shaken and injured and traumatized, just to try to get this person off, because that's what they believe, but the evidence didn't show that, you might have a beef with the same agency that I do.
And you're talking about a specific case that you worked on.
But this is a personal experience. I've
Yes.
actually done it. This isn't me theorizing, I don't
Yes.
like this group.
So I said, a
This is
personal
me
case.
actually doing it.
Yeah, it's a personal case that you legitimately worked on yourself.
Yes.
And a baby was injured.
Yes.
There are also lots of people saying that shaken baby syndrome is not a thing, and that has been debunked.
It hasn't been debunked. They've changed the name from shaken baby syndrome to abusive head trauma, and now it's called non-accidental trauma.
Yes.
But they have changed theories over the years. The medical community still believes when you shake the hell out of a child or you throw that child, it's going to create medical issues.
Or there's a high likelihood that there will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you call it. You can call it any of those three names or a fourth name if you want to come up with something better. But at the end of the day, it's abuse.
Yeah, but to clarify, you are not anti-Innocence Project.
I'm not, when they have something to go on, not just creating something out of thin air.
I'm trying to remember how many cases I have it written down here somewhere. How many cases the Innocence Project, they've worked on obviously like thousands and thousands and thousands of cases, but they've helped to get like well over 1,000 people out of prison that were wrongfully convicted. What do you have to say to that?
If there was evidence they shouldn't have been convicted, then that's something that needs to come forward. I'm not out here saying that they shouldn't uncover things if there's something to uncover. What I'm saying is they shouldn't make it seem like there's something to uncover when really there's no evidence of it. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So since 89, 3,200 people have been exonerated in the U.S.
Do you think some of those cases, though, since the early 90s, maybe were exonerated because of advancements in DNA they didn't have at the time? Or advancements in other technology they didn't have at the time?
Absolutely.
And I think that's part of it. I don't think you can point to those prosecutors on those cases and say they were evil, they were bad, all they cared about was a conviction. They went with what they had at the time, but maybe advancements came out later that proved differently.
Again, I think that's part of the point, though. They didn't have enough evidence to actually convict these people beyond a reasonable doubt.
No, they did have enough evidence. It was of a different type. Maybe they had eyewitness testimony.
But these people ended up being innocent is the problem. That's the issue.
I understand.
And that's why people get upset about it. It'd be different if they were guilty of the crimes. It's like, oh, then this DNA, these advancements in DNA evidence come out, or just in general, these advancements happen. This person was found to not be guilty. And it's like, okay, so then what happens to all that evidence that you had that put them in there in the first place? Obviously, it doesn't hold weight or have credibility.
I haven't analyzed those 3,000 and some odd number of cases you talked about, but it depends on what overturned it. Was it a recantation of a witness? Was it a DNA kind of thing? I mean, there's a lot of things that could change over time. Quite honestly, I mean, I've been dealing with cases this week that happened last week or 2 weeks ago, and victims are coming forward recanting, not because it didn't happen, not because it's not the right thing to do, but because they thought of the consequences after the fact, and they don't want to lose the income, or they don't want their loved one to go to jail or prison. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people recant. It doesn't mean it didn't happen all the time. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, but sometimes it's people legitimately recanting. Also, I just want to make a correction. I said the Innocence Project has probably helped to free, thousands of people. It's actually helped to free over 250 people since 1992. So a smaller percentage, but there have been over 3,200 people that have been exonerated since 89.
What's the difference between freeing them and exonerating them?
I mean, exonerating is basically going back to say they didn't do it. Maybe freeing them, maybe they got clemency, they got out early, or their sentence was commuted or lessened.
So it's still on their record and
maybe.
stuff?
It just depends on how they're using the words and the terms.
Yeah, and it does say that the majority, and this is from the Innocence Project's website, it does say the majority of those are through DNA advancements in DNA evidence. So it happens.
Yeah.
There's another statistic. I don't know how accurate it is. And again, most of these are from like the Innocence Project website and other Innocence Project-esque, because there's like little offshoots like we had talked about in multiple episodes before. There's the California one, there's Georgia Innocence Project, Philadelphia has like a version of it. But they're saying, there's the wrongful conviction rate is less than 1% in the United States. But even at that, that's still thousands and thousands of people.
You know what I'd like to know is what is the statistic for those who did commit the crime and got off scot-free like OJ?
How can you
I bet you
prove
that's
that and
more
track
than
it?
1%.
I don't know.
How can you prove that and track it if they can never be tried again? So
They
you can
can't be
never
tried again,
prove-
but sometimes people might come out and say, ha, I got off, I did it.
Or they write a book.
Or they write a book that says, if I did it.
If I did it.
Oh, Jesus.
Exactly.
Damn it, OJ. Why'd you have to be so charismatic?
Do you have any cases, examples of wrongful convictions that were overturned?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch. So we have a couple that are some of the most famous ones. So one of the most famous ones of all time is the Central Park Five.
I can talk about a little bit of the background on that.
Yeah, go
There was
for
a
it.
28-year-old investment banker from New York who was running through Central Park jogging, something she did all the time, and she was brutally raped and beaten very, very badly. And she was not able to identify the perpetrator or perpetrators. But there were these 5 very young men that were investigated and were convicted of that crime, right? Do I have that right so far?
Yeah.
Do we remember the evidence that was used?
Well, one of the things was 4 of the boys signed confessions, and they appeared on video, and each was arguing that while they had not been the one to commit the rape, that they had witnessed the others do it, thereby implicating the entire group.
Whoa. How
So-
old were they? Were they?
They were late teens, I want to say.
Yep. So those tapes were played by the jury, and obviously that formed the heart of the prosecution's case. Another thing that played into this case was,
I know what you're gonna say.
Myreen's
I mean-
best buddy,
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump took out an ad basically like smearing the boys and swaying public opinion to, how they're dangerous criminals.
That was before they were convicted?
Yeah.
Before the trial?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Yikes.
I just want to say and go on record that any pre-trial publicity like that,
Can't be used.
No, it's not used, but I just think it's incredibly inherently wrong. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Ever.
But it was. It
I know,
was
but
used and
I'm
it did
just saying,
sway. Yeah.
on record,
Yeah.
I don't agree.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
God, we're going to get you to say some of the other things he does are wrong someday.
There's your one. For now.
Man.
I'm not saying there's not other things, but that's a whole nother episode.
I know.
So I also wondered in this Central Park 5 case if the boys, maybe they were in the park. They were just being teenagers, loud, obnoxious, screwing around. Who knows, right? Mm-hmm. But not doing anything necessarily criminal like that. Mm-hmm. And maybe they were seen by other witnesses who put them in the park.
Well, criminal-ish. They were accused of assaulting other people in the park that night. They were accused of assaulting a jogger. They were accused of robbing someone. It might have been the same person.
Well, maybe they were, purse snatchers, and they were trying to do that.
But it was a crowd of teens. They don't know if it was like the specific boys even.
Right, but that's my point. So there are people saying there's a crowd of teens here, and then somebody saw these 5 boys and made the link, jumped to that conclusion. These are the 5. This is the crowd.
So those 5 boys were actually seen in the park that night. Maybe not doing what they were accused of, but they were seen.
Maybe not this crime, but other crimes, potentially.
Okay.
But here's the thing. How did they get those confessions from the boys saying, I didn't do it, but I saw others doing it?
Probably held them for days and coerced them into it and told them that the other boys were already doing the same thing to them. And, I feel like that can be pretty common in police interrogations with kids who don't know any better and you've never been in that situation.
But generally speaking, with kids, I don't remember their ages. Were some of them like 16, 17, 18?
I think they're all under 18.
Okay. So generally in those circumstances, they would have to reach out to the parents' permission to interview, number one.
Did they, though?
I don't know if they did. Maybe back then they didn't have to. I don't know if that changed. But it just seems so implausible that they're going to make such detailed statements if they didn't see it or do it or any of those things.
Yeah.
No.
The ad that Trump took out the full newspaper ad, and he was calling for New York to bring back the death penalty. And this was 2 weeks after the attack, and obviously before the teens had ever been indicted.
Again, clearly wrong.
And then it also referred to them as muggers and murderers.
Again, clearly wrong. But I do think this was a case that incited a lot of emotion in New York. This was just a young lady jogging through the park. She should have that ability, that right to do that, and she shouldn't have been raped and brutally beaten. It was a bad, bad beating. She was in the hospital, my understanding was, for quite a long time.
She survived, though.
She survived, but that may have evoked a lot of emotion, like that could have been my sister, that could have been my wife, that could have been my mom. And people may have come forward and said, okay, somebody's got to pay for that. And that's what happened. Trump getting involved back then, clearly not appropriate.
Right. Like, let's let the justice system play out, giving it 2 weeks and taking it out.
Well, exactly. And that's what I've said before in other cases. When there is pretrial publicity or even during trial publicity, we saw that in some cases that I just had such an issue with, because you don't want it to sway the potential jurors. You want them to only have what's going to be presented to them as evidence in the courtroom. That's what the instructions tell them. That's all you are to consider, not anything else. And do you think it's hard as a juror if you saw that ad to set that aside?
Of course.
Right? That would be difficult.
So the main pieces of evidence that had led to their conviction was
co-defendant confessions.
Yes. Correct. But they were interrogated for hours, and some of them for nearly 2 days straight. And they obviously coerced them into these confessions.
This was in 1989, too, so it was quite a while ago.
Yes. But
I think tactics of police have clearly changed.
Some people would say yes, some people would say no. I literally just watched a video today of police tasing and beating this dad in a car while he was having a seizure, and for the wife had a baby in her arms, and she was like begging the police to stop, like begging, and it's very clear on video, and the other officers were like, stand back, shut up, and the dude's literally seizing violently, and they're just.
But again, that's one case out of how many that were done
but
right.
there are numerous cases right now with all of the crazy ICE stuff going on right now.
Numerous cases, but again, I just want to point out how many were still done right.
Yeah, I'm sure it's the vast majority.
Yeah,
it really is. It really is. Like, just to be honest, but it doesn't mean that we have to accept these heinous examples.
And I'm not saying that. I don't want anybody to misinterpret that. If the police do something wrong, they need to be held accountable.
Yes, it's emotionally charged, but the issue is that we have an administration right now that is funding these types of people to go out and be literally Gestapo. Like, just read history. This is like the Nazi playbook, which hilariously the Nazis got from the Americans, because they're like, man, that Jim Crow segregation stuff is wicked. We should start implementing some of that here in Germany.
And now we're going down politics.
No, but it's not. It's all connected. It's all connected very, very clearly, because you fund them, you arm them, and you send them out, and then they act in this way because they have the backing of the highest authority in the country. And it's an issue, and it was an issue here. And you know that race obviously played a massive part in what happened here, because in 2002, a convicted serial rapist was actually the person who confessed to this crime, and the DNA proved that that rapist was the one who committed this crime. And all of those boys, the 5, they got exonerated.
It was one guy then?
That's what it said. Yeah. Serial rapist that was already in prison. So,
okay.
Yeah. And then the boys got a $41 million settlement for the lost years and, their lost childhood. And, I don't know. Is that justice?
Else, you can't get the time back. So, I mean, it's never going to be complete justice. But I think setting them up financially is
that enough?
Bare minimum.
Is $41 million enough for 5 people? I don't know. I don't feel
that was also
well.
back in the 90s. So think about,
it was in 2002, and who knows when they actually got the money.
Right, but that's still 23 years ago.
Yeah.
So $41 million 23 years ago would go a lot farther than it would now.
For sure. It's just, to go back, I mean, it's one of those things where, of course, people always make this argument, and I'm not going to disagree with what Marion said at all. In most cases, in most professions, it is the vast majority of people that are doing things the right way, that are trying to be good people. But if you're not willing to speak out against the people that make that profession look bad and break the law and genuinely incite violence and fear, and are the reason why these accusations are even hurled at the entire group, then you're part of the problem. We have to hold these people accountable. And when you don't hold people accountable, they think that what they did wasn't that bad. And then the public sometimes believes that what they did wasn't that bad. And then they go on and they make decisions that put people in America in horrible, horrible situations where their health care is doubling in cost, or more than doubling in cost. And these roving bands of masked armed agents that are being funded on a level that would make them the 3rd biggest military in the world can go around and do whatever they want in these cities that aren't asking to be occupied. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it does have to do with the episode that we're talking about, because there are people that are being arrested, Americans right now that are being arrested unjustly and black bagged, and they're disappearing. And we don't know where they're going. That's madness. Mm-hmm. And not all of these people are legal citizens, and not all of these people are criminals. And some of them are legitimately Americans born in America.
Yeah.
And now we have a justice system on the federal level that's trying to change what an American is legally. So even people that were born here, if their parents were illegal, those people would no longer be considered Americans. And those people are being unjustly arrested and just thrown into these prisons. That is crazy. That is madness.
And they're firing the immigration judges, so then there's more backlog and they can't actually get through anything, and like they're not actually deporting people, which is what they're just doing the violence and the, you know what I mean, the rounding up, and then they realize they made a mistake and let them go.
Yeah, or they are deporting people and they're sending them to random countries that they've never even been to in their lives.
Right. 100%.
Which is super strange.
Yeah, it's all just chaos for sure.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you don't hold individuals accountable when they've shown you what type of character they have.
Same thing goes for defendants and people who commit crimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, if they committed the crimes.
They should be held accountable.
If they committed the crimes, correct. Agreed.
That's what I just said.
Agreed.
I'm not arguing with you.
Agreed. No, I'm agreeing. I'm saying agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with the things you just said. You know, the way that ICE is handling things, I don't agree with. I think it's wrong. But I think it is a circumstance where we can't just pin it on one agency or one government,
But
one person. How?
Very clearly.
How?
We can pin it on one government, one administration. We can pin it on Donald Trump and his cronies and their Project 2025 playbook. It's very clear that they're trying to use this as a way to get more power, to hold people accountable. And the crazy part is that they said that they were going to do this, and then people are shocked that it's happening. Like, people should be more upset that they were tricked by someone who literally told you what they were going to do. He said he was going to do this.
Is that a trick?
Well, people are acting like, well, I didn't know he was going to do that. I didn't know he was going to take my neighbor. I didn't know, like, you know, that, well, I was a good person. Well, I didn't know he was going to come to my farm and, you know, take my workers. Well, I didn't know that he was going to, you know, scare away all the people that are helping me to build these homes. Construction costs are going up. Food costs are going up. Healthcare costs are going up. And it sounds, people are like, well, what does that have to do with the food and the construction? Like, people underestimate how much migrant labor goes into our entire food system. In a state like Michigan, in a state like California, are you kidding me? People underestimated how much this would impact America and how much it is impacting America.
Here's the thing. Should there be some immigration reforms? Probably, right? But not necessarily the way they're doing it. Clearly, I understand that, and I fully, wholeheartedly agree. But sometimes I think one of the things I've heard from proponents of all of this isn't just it's not my opinion, but it's things that I've heard, is that why should illegal immigrants receive more benefits or more available funds than citizens? Should they or shouldn't they? That's just a question I've heard. Yes or no?
They don't.
Well, but some people say they do.
But they're wrong.
Well, but not necessarily when you look at all the statistics.
What statistics?
I'm not going through it all right now. I didn't know we're going down this tangent on this episode, John, or I would have brought more statistics for you.
I didn't plan to, but it just,
I know, but it always creeps in.
It feels right, especially seeing as Donald Trump is one of the reasons why these 5 boys were locked away for over a decade. And I don't know if he ever even apologized for helping to.
I've already said he was wrong on that. There's nothing more I can add.
I'm with you, but he has a history of horrible decision making that hurts America in some of the worst ways, and people are going to start feeling it, and people are feeling it, and he's pretending like it's not an issue right now. It has to stop somewhere, and people have to stand up and say that this is wrong. So you're saying, can we not? Well, actually, first, let's go back and talk about how you're saying people always assume that illegal immigrants have access to all of these like welfare type benefits.
Sometimes, do you know that they don't?
Do not.
How do you know this,
because
though?
They don't have social security numbers. Like, they don't benefit from these programs that people say that they benefit from. And they come and they work in the places that the majority of Americans would never work for an amount of money that no American would ever accept as a reasonable amount of money. And they're an essential part of the fabric of our society, and we are treating them like they're all criminals. Are there criminals that have come across the border? Of course. Are there criminals in the United States that were born here and have been here forever? Of course.
But couldn't there be reform in the immigration system that would allow the people who are working here to be legitimate workers? Couldn't there be reform in that system to allow that?
It already exists.
Well,
No, it could be better.
Yeah. When Fabian came, he couldn't work for a while. Like, I think that's dumb. Like, why wouldn't you be able to work if you're...
Yeah, but he went through the process.
I understand.
Yeah.
Right, but not everybody does the process, and maybe the process needs to change to make it a little bit easier for that. But let me say this. Growing up, I worked in a lot of blueberry plantations and packing plants and all types of things where I worked with a number over the years of migrant families, and some of them became very, very, very good friends. They taught me a lot of things like how to make tortillas homemade I didn't know how to do, and they chuckled because I couldn't get them round, but that's a tangent we can go down on a different day. My point is that there should be reforms that would allow them, because they are necessary workers, right? You just said Americans won't work for that low money. I understand that. But maybe there does need to be reforms that would allow those people to work legally.
Yeah. I think the sad part, too, about a lot of the ICE roundups is they're going to the courthouse when people are there for the, you know what I mean, to do the, it's like, what do you, it's just, yeah.
So going back to the other cases, was there another case you wanted to talk about of wrongful conviction other than the Central Park Five?
There are other cases that we can talk about, but now I just want to talk about this.
But it's not all about Trump, and it's not all about politics.
It's not, but this is going on right now, and Americans have a choice. They can choose to allow these people to literally try to run back the Nazi playbook and act like that's not actually happening and just be dumbfounded. It's several years down the road when things just continue to get worse and worse and worse. Or people can wake up, hold these people accountable, and say, this is not right. This is not okay. You cannot treat people this way, and you cannot incite fear and terror in the United States. You cannot write the laws for yourself. You cannot do whatever you want without being held accountable.
Okay.
And that is what they have done.
You've said it.
It's accountability. It's accountability for the officers that coerce those kids into giving a statement, and we've gotten probably better in that process over the years. But if there is no accountability, then there's no growth and there's no progress forward. So
Right.
I understand that, but that applies to literally everyone in every aspect of life.
Yep.
You know, I think one of the unfortunate things, do you know how laws change?
Yeah.
Because a case didn't go the right way. So everybody's heard of the Miranda warnings, right? Do you know why you've heard of the Miranda warnings? Because there was a case, Arizona versus a guy by the name of Miranda,
Right.
who didn't get those warnings, and the courts deemed that to be wrong. So what did they do? They changed the law. Now you have to give Miranda warnings when there's custodial interrogation. And there's other types of things that have changed in the law over the years. And I'm not saying that the people the wrong was done to don't count. They certainly do. But they are also part of the solution when that law changes. It's because of what happened to them. And I think that's an important thing to remember, too.
I just want to go back real quick to talk about what people can access and can't access. So what undocumented immigrants can access in the United States is emergency care, sometimes through emergency Medicaid and hospital emergency room access under federal law. Women, infant, and children have limited access to WIC, depending on the state. Free and reduced lunch programs, depending on the state. Like when you go to school, you get fed at school, so they can benefit from that. And then sometimes there are specific programs within states that are funded by the state that provide specific benefits to undocumented immigrants.
Yep, and I've seen some of those firsthand,
Yes.
where there were grant-funded programs that would take dentists or optometrists or other types of things or other types of services or bookmobiles or a whole slew of other things into migrant camps to be able to provide those additional resources to some of those people. There were also mobile food banks that I recall that were going into some of the camps. And all I'm saying is those things should be available to any American.
For sure. Anyone who's hungry should have access to that.
Exactly.
But what they don't have, they don't even have access to food stamps. So SNAP, and they are not eligible for SNAP. They cannot get SNAP. Social Security, things like that. They're
I
not
understand
eligible,
all that, but you're
and they
missing
don't
my
get
point.
that. I'm just naming some of the things because people assume that they benefit from this system.
But they do benefit from some of the additional programming that is grant funded, specifically titled for them.
Yes.
But it should be for anybody.
Sure.
That's my whole point.
And it is for anybody.
It's not necessarily. Those grant funded programs go specifically for migrant workers, and I'm not saying those are bad.
But here's the thing. It's because there are other programs that already benefit everybody. Like, so the person who would benefit from the
So
same...
you're saying there are no hungry...
The other person
there are
who
no
would,
hungry people in America?
Okay, if you just allow me to finish. The other person the people who would benefit or try to utilize the same programs that you're referring to that migrants would use are 100% going to be eligible for SNAP if they're American citizens. So they don't need it. That's the point, because they are eligible for these other programs as American citizens. That's the point. But the issue is that people who tend to or have more conservative ideologies think that all of these programs are a waste and it's just people, feeding off the system and taking
I've never
advantage.
said it's a waste.
I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying a majority. People say that all the time. Like, there's so many people that are like, oh, it's socialism, it's socialism, it's socialism. I mean, it's socialism when someone else is benefiting from it. And sadly, when we're talking about feeding people and housing people and giving people the most basic form of dignity. But it's not socialism when it's grants for you or tax cuts or tax breaks or, our taxes paying for roads and schools and things of that nature. I mean, people just cherry pick and choose. Everyone should be fed.
Yes, they do cherry pick.
Everyone should be.
They pick and choose. Do I get a chance to speak too?
I was just trying to finish. Everyone should be fed. Everyone should have housing. I don't know why that's a radical idea. Everyone should have access to education. Why are we acting like this is crazy? No one should be. People are about to get kicked in the teeth. You looked at what you're going to pay for your health insurance, doubled.
Yeah.
My health insurance doubled. Right? We're fortunately in a position where we're going to be fine. The majority of Americans can't handle that. The cost of everything is going up so much. And it all stems from one place. And all people have to do is take off the blinders. And worse than that, they're literally trying to occupy cities. They've killed people. They're black bagging people. And people are still defending this administration. It is literally pure evil. It's pure evil.
I'm with you. I think a huge problem, honestly, is where people get information nowadays. And a lot of people just don't trust regular news, and then they look towards social media, and social media is very much algorithm driven based on if you show interest in this, it's going to show you a bunch of those. So I feel like our realities are just so different. It's like makes it all just scarier and harder to see the goal and interest.
Irene is not happy.
She didn't get a chance to speak.
She has a chance to. I just wanted to finish what I was saying.
Wrongful convictions.
We got off on a tangent.
We got off on a deep tangent. Accountability.
Yeah, accountability would be great. Empathy would be great. And it's a tangent, but it's not a tangent, because it really does have to do with wrongful incarceration. How many people are being wrongfully incarcerated right now because of what's happening? It's a lot. And I just hate to forget those people. If it was me, or if it was you, or if it was you, I wouldn't want anyone to forget you, or to not care about you, or to not mention you. Like, if these people are guilty of some crime, fine, hold them accountable. But they're just grabbing random people off the streets.
And I didn't say that wasn't wrong.
I didn't say you said that. I never said you said that.
I simply said that I think there needs to be immigration reform for the people who are here, who want to work and do it the right way. Maybe make it easier for them to get those things. Maybe make it easier for them to get the status of citizenship. Not make it so hard where they're all trying to fly under the radar, and when they fly under the radar, then ICE comes in and tries to do something about that. I think they're going about it in the absolute wrong way. My only issue was I think we just got off on a very deep tangent that got away from, there might have been a very close little side shoot that was about what we were talking about, wrongful convictions, but then we got off on a bigger tangent, and that was the problem.
I don't know why it's a problem, but because I'm not saying, I know that just from the emotion, I can tell that you're taking it personally, but I'm not talking to you about, like, I'm just saying in general. And you've already said, you agree with some of the things and you don't agree with some of the things. And I agree with reform to make it easier for people who aren't criminals to come into this country and to work and to be a part of what we have here. I mean, we're going to see a population decline. The birth rate is below the level needed to grow the population. So, I mean, where do you get people? You either have to make life easier so people have more kids and life isn't as expensive, or you have to have immigration. I think we need a mix of both. I think America's great because we had so many people immigrate here.
Well, that's why America was created, was by immigrants, right? Coming to this location.
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, it was supposed to be white immigrants, but it matters. Like, people look at the Constitution, like it matters. That caveat, it really does make a difference. But I think it's beautiful that so many people come here for opportunity, and even now, people still want to come here for opportunity, even though some crazy things are happening.
I think they should be given the opportunity legally, and I think if they follow those channels, then all of the benefits that are available for anybody in need, whether it's housing or food or shelter or medicine or any of those things, should be available to anyone who is here legally. I think that makes it hard, because if you're not here legally, are you contributing to the tax base that pays for those things? Probably not.
I would say we also have to take in consideration that a lot of people, and business owners know this, will hire people that they know are not legal and pay them far less than they would pay someone else to do those jobs. And I think that is a fair trade-off, because without that, without the migrant work, without the people, helping in construction, without the people that are cooking and doing dishwashing and, whatever it may be across the board in all of these different places, America doesn't run the way that it's supposed to run. And maybe we need a whole reform of the entire system. But I think America is at its best, and I think any country is at its best when we are looking for ways to bring as many people up and we have more of a sense of community and we hear each other out and we care about each other than when we're all suspicious of each other and blaming that scary, illegal other all of the time. Because like you said, you had those experiences when you were growing up with the migrant workers and it was delightful, right? The majority of people in most places are well-intentioned, good people. It really is it really is.
But it's just like everything else we've seen. The media takes the one small thing where someone who isn't illegal and murdered somebody or did something bad and blows that up to every illegal is bad.
Right.
Just like every cop is bad or every prosecutor sucks.
Yeah.
It's not everybody. And I think the media should be held accountable for their role in that because they do it in every type of scenario.
Then we should make it illegal for them to spread these types of lies, or people just need to come together and realize that the media isn't to be taken 100% literally all the time until laws are put into place to make it illegal to spread misinformation.
I mean, the media wants to sell their story. They want people to watch their channel, read their article, whatever it may be their medium is.
At what cost, though?
That's the problem.
At what cost?
That's a problem.
And it's a decision that we all have to make. They only make that money and they only continue to share that information because people choose to engage with it consistently. We have to change our habits. And we have to decide that we care more about America continuing on in the best possible light than to buy into all of the scary other type of theories. Because I think that's what's going to be the end of America, is everybody thinking that that person, that scary other, is the enemy and the villain. And if we don't do something drastic to get rid of them, when in most cases, they're scared and they're just trying their best and they just want to feed their family and have a decent life. That's the majority of us. Mm-hmm. It really is. So we just have to have some humanity, but it's a decision. It's choosing to interact with people. It's choosing to...
It's also choosing to respect other people's opinions.
When they don't endanger people. I absolutely agree. Yes. When they don't endanger people.
Yeah. I think that was a good recap of all of it. And
yeah. We're going to talk about some other cases, but the point of all of these cases were just that sometimes people are wrongly incarcerated. That does happen. Mm-hmm. It is a small percentage of cases, total cases. One of the sources that we had said less than 1%, but that still amounts to thousands and thousands of people. And if you did not commit the crime, and Myrene has said this numerous times, if you did not commit the crime, you should not be in prison.
Right. But I think one of the things I just want to leave as a final thought is that in those wrongfully convicted cases, it doesn't mean that the prosecutors were corrupt. It doesn't necessarily mean law enforcement was corrupt. It means maybe they had better advancements or there was different evidence or there was a recantation of a witness statement. There's something that goes along with that. It doesn't mean that the prosecutors were evil because they prosecuted that group. They thought they had enough evidence at the time. If it turns out that's wrong, then absolutely those people should not be convicted of something they didn't do.
So you are okay with the Innocence Project going in and doing their job to try to help people?
I think it's a fine line, and I think they cross it more than they should. And I can speak from personal experience on that.
And you would say, and you kind of hinted at it earlier, I mean, that's probably part of the reason why, since the 90s, that they've only overturned about 250
cases.
Yeah.
Now, those 250, if that was rightfully done, then so be it. I fully, wholeheartedly support that.
Yeah.
But I can say in my 25 years, a little bit plus experience as a prosecuting attorney, I haven't seen any of these cases. I haven't seen anybody maliciously prosecute. I haven't seen law enforcement make lies and try to manufacture evidence when it's not there.
But that happens.
I've seen articles about it happening. I've never seen it happen myself.
Yeah. And that's your experience.
Exactly.
And that's your experience.
And I'm in that system.
Yes.
Why are you looking at me more?
No, sometimes I think you look like you're going to say something and I want to give you the opportunity to speak. Because me and Myrene have such strong personanities that I feel
shut up.
It's really easy
What?
to...
Strong personalities?
I know.
I don't know about that.
I know. Me either. It's that I just want to give you I always want to give you a chance to speak up if you have something to say.
I'll say it if I have something.
So, okay. To recap, yes, it's okay clearly it's okay for the Innocence Project to exist and to do the work that they're doing, and they have helped to free people that did not commit crimes, and that's a wonderful thing. No one who has not committed a crime should not be in prison for that crime they didn't commit.
Random thought. I wonder how often people are wrongfully convicted with a jury versus just a judge, because it's not just the prosecutor, it's the whole jury that
It's the jury that convicts.
Yeah.
The prosecutor presents the evidence that were given from the investigation from law enforcement.
Right.
But it's up to the jury, if it's a felony, of 12 individuals randomly selected from the community to make a determination. Do you believe the elements of the crime have been met? Yes or no? And any jury verdict must be unanimous. So all 12 people have to agree. I wouldn't know the exact number of cases that go by what we call a bench trial, which is a trial by judge, but it's very few and far between. I mean, in my entire 25-year career on a felony level case, I've had one bench trial.
Damn.
One.
Really?
Just one. Because they think they're going to have a better shot with 12 random people than a man or woman who's a judge who knows the law and is going to wade through the BS that you're going to try to spin, wade through the reasonable doubt you're going to try to spin or manufacture out of nothing. So they have a better shot with a jury of 12 than they do with one judge. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. There's a case we talked about recently where we had talked about.
Tony Earls.
Oh, it was Tony Earls.
Yeah, he chose the jury and
exactly.
they gave him max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he probably should have chosen the judge because Max. Even you said Max seemed a little harsh.
It did. It did
Yeah.
under the circumstances. But again, we don't have access to all the evidence that was presented. So I guess that really plays into it. I think that just gets not enough focus and not enough attention. Juries have the ability to look at all the evidence, to hear all the testimony, and make a determination whether they believe it or they don't.
Yeah.
They believe some of it or they don't. And, I don't always agree with jurors. That's our system. And so I have to respect how the system goes. There are times when I think it should be guilty and it comes back not guilty. And that's baffling to me sometimes.
Yeah, like you said.
But that's the system we have.
Exactly. That's the system that we have. And jurors are just regular, everyday people.
Right.
Can make mistakes.
Yeah.
All of us.
And can have strong biases, even if it's easy to hide them. You've talked about that before. It's hard to get the full truth out of like these jurors when you're doing the selection.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get, and then those people are the people who are making the decision. So yeah, these aren't simple cases. These aren't always the easiest discussions to have and to navigate, and there's no like 100% right, 100% wrong. But if you have any questions, if there was anything that we missed that is just driving you crazy and you're screaming at your car or computer or phone or wherever you listen to this podcast or these clips, reach out to us, BTV_pod. Find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts.
We're compiling our list for future episodes too, so let us know if there are some that are just really bugging you and you want to have a conversation about it. Let us know what your thoughts are and we'll try to put those on the list.
You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.